I picked up a pen and drew. During this trip, throughout all the confusion and madness with stars in the ground and whizzing realities around me, I would open my journal. Even if it was just for a moment, it gave me a deeper understanding of myself. After drawing, I would know how I was feeling, and I was able to process the overwhelming amount of information on this trip. Subconsciously and consciously, I used art to achieve a deeper understanding of this trip. Art was a way that I could internalize the ideas that were being introduced to me. When I flipped through my drawings at the end of this trip, I came to the surprising realization that all the drawings had to do with the same general idea, my identity. I didn't realize that the girl I kept drawing over and over was myself. Through these drawings, I was trying to figure out how I see myself and how I define myself. I have been trying to create a sense of self-awareness and self-acceptance. Every time we switch countries, I redefine myself within that society. And cultural norms of each country either contradicted or reaffirmed my beliefs and values. It's hard to say or measure, for that matter, how I've changed on this program, but I do know that I've become more of myself. Some of my beliefs have become more grounded, while others have faded away with these experiences. Different aspects of my personality. I decided to go on this trip partly because I wanted to figure out who I am in different contexts. How do I change with my surroundings and expectations around me? I dreamed of these distant, exotic lands, temples, and elephants, but in the end, I really learned from the people who are shaping those realities. Each person I met metaphorically offered me a mirror. This mirror allowed me to see a reflection of myself in juxtaposition with their own unique identity. I saw myself in a new way based on their ideas. Each person shaped a part of his or her reality, desires, and values. Whether it was just for a moment, making eye contact with a woman on a train or living in someone's home for 5 weeks, everyone I met taught me something. And these people allowed me to see myself with a completely different lens. There's no way I can accurately describe the complexity of all these individuals, attempt to describe how their identity and lifestyle shaped mine. I can share some of the lessons that they taught me. I'm going to remember these people more than the seminars that we had or the vast landscapes that we visited. By analyzing what these individuals taught me, I can internalize their lessons, hopefully for the future. I process things externally and not internally, and that's why people are so essential for developing myself and being aware of my own thoughts and emotions. This was me. I drew this on the first flight. I was full of excitement, anticipation, and expectations of what would greet me when the wheels hit the tarmac. For the first time in my life, I felt free. I wrote in my journal next to this drawing, I made it. It's finally here. My hands are sweating, my stomach is doing flips, but I'm just ready to experience some of the world. I was suspended through the air and I had no idea where I was going, what it was going to be like, or how I was going to react. The feeling of this unknown filled me with so much life. Here's a few stories of some of the people that I met. This is Lucy. Lucy was my host sister from South Africa. She is a 12-year-old daredevil who casually wears a zebra onesie around the house. She goes to school in Cranswick, a small township where I lived with Lucy's family. Her grandmother, Betty, has high expectations of her, but Lucy challenges the system on a daily basis. She's a force to be reckoned with, and with her growing sense of curiosity and free spirit. She speaks with clarity, precision, and courage. During my media project of what it means to be a woman, I asked Lucy what is one of the hardest aspects. She responded with, well, I'm a girl, I have to clean. I'm a girl, I have to be clean. I'm a girl, I have to act like one. Lucy reminded me of the expectations of being a woman that I too felt at her age. She reminded me that we don't have the same, I don't have to change my actions and appearances of women. I don't have to dress a certain way or speak in hushed tones or always be the caregiver. I can be whoever I want to be. She not only made me aware of the social norms that enter my own sense of identity, but she taught me that I don't have to base my identity on other people's views and expectations. Being a woman is a core aspect of who I am. In South Africa, I began to realize how societal expectations of women affect me every single day. Lucy taught me that despite the societal pressure on women to act a certain way, I can own definition of what it means to be a woman. And I found freedom and power in this idea. This is a picture from one of the days I was working at Masazami, a school and home primarily for street kids. I was sitting on the playground with a group of 3 to 6 year olds, and I was trying to teach them some colors in English. This one little boy asked what color my shirt was, and I said green. Then he pointed to the sky, I said blue, and then he pointed to his face. I hesitated for a moment, and then I said black. Then shortly after, he pointed to my face, and I said white. People aren't born with racism. It is something that is taught. Later that day, having learned the color green, the kids kept looking into my eyes and saying with curiosity, green. They weren't used to seeing white eyes. They also looked and kept touching my lips and asked, lipstick? They asked because they weren't used to seeing pink lips. There were many moments in South Africa that I became aware of the fact that I am white. I never thought about the fact I was white until I was living as a minority living in the townships. Segregation and racism are still very prevalent in Baton Bay. There's a white town and there's a black town. Although this may not be as obvious in America, racism is commonly experienced. And this awareness of this physical aspect to my identity was a really important elevation for me. These two experiences of interviewing Lucy and working with the kids in Masazami made me aware of my social identities. Although these identities were assigned to me at birth, I never really stopped to think about what it means to be a woman, or for that matter, a white woman. Being white and being a woman have many assumptions attached to them, and they are usually the first two things people will notice when they meet me. Although my race and my gender are both defined by society, and they are both key parts to my identity, I still get to determine how much they define me. When I was a school teacher in India, I realized how much I believe in creativity, questioning, and a system that encourages a variety of thinkers. Teaching in India was definitely one of the most challenging aspects of this trip because there's no way for me as an outsider to change the system. I felt so conflicted being a part of a system that I didn't morally agree with. I remember on my first day of teaching, the principal offered me a ruler, and I immediately thought it was to point to the material on the board. A few days later, I saw the principal take a 7-year-old boy to the back courtyard with that same ruler. The rulers were to hit the kids and to create a system of hierarchy and power dynamics in the classroom. This corporal punishment felt so unethical, like teaching the students more about fear. I didn't know if it was my place to say it was wrong, but where does one draw the line in terms of morals and universal human ethics? Also, during the first week of class, I asked the kids to draw their favorite animal. One kid in the front, who understood English, started drawing a butterfly. 10 minutes later, all the kids handed butterflies. In a system where there's a right and there's a wrong with physical punishment as consequence, it diminishes the ideas of an individual. This one student named Saneha was different. She was the student who ran around the duck, duck, goose circle the opposite way. She wrote her name the opposite way, and she doodled in class but didn't know how to read. Although she was technically in 3rd grade, she had fallen behind us at the level of a kindergartner. The teachers had given up on her because she didn't learn from the pages of a textbook. She had a beautiful energy and a wonderful mind. I tutored Saneha during my 6 weeks in India, and she taught me the value of creativity. This one day, I was trying to teach the names of some animals in English. She could not fully grasp their meanings until she drew them. I set up some special exercises for her, where she would first copy the word down, and then she would try and draw what she thought the word was. Each person is inherently unique, and she reminded me that we all don't learn in the same way. I love my students, and it was incredibly rewarding to have them start drawing and using their imagination and not copying each other. I wanted them to question what was right and start asking why. Learning isn't just blindly copying from the board, and it makes me sad to know that the system has probably gone back to exactly the way it was the moment that we left. But I also realized it wasn't my place to make those changes, and that any lasting change would have to come locally. When I was a teacher, I learned way more than I taught. I learned Sneha that she and I think in similar ways. I don't think in words. I think in images, in moments, and sounds, and feelings, and words are simply manifestations of these images in my mind. I realized that drawings are how I think and how I process my surroundings and myself. I also learned that freedom of expression and creativity are vitally important to me. Before TBB, I thought art and creativity were simply hobbies and that I could pursue a career path without them. But now I realize that art is essential to my thought process. I drew and I wrote this to remind myself in the future how important it is to use my voice. I want to use my voice for good. I want to share these stories and describe how they affected me out of the belief that these lessons can be universal. Having a voice is so powerful. I was born with a lot of privilege, so there are so many people in this world whose stories I never told. I also realized that it takes strength and emotion, and that I believe emotion is power. I'll never forget this one day in Thailand. I was exploring Chiang Mai, jumping into tuk-tuks and wandering aimlessly on the quest to find Buddhist temples. After stumbling across this one temple and searching to find the exit, I ran across Monk Tumra. He sat there underneath the trees, a part of a program where anyone can stop and ask the monks a question. I waited my turn for a moment and then I sat in anticipation across from him. I wanted to see if he could explain a little bit more about Buddhism to me. He described to me that there are 3 categories of happiness. Number 1 is instant daily happiness, like your college or your work or your occupation. And number 2 is our moral compass and seeking a state free of worry and free of mind. Finally, number 3 is scientific and individual discovery. He told me that Buddhism is a scientific religion about overcoming your own struggles and discovering meaning for yourself. He also said the monks live under 227 rules on a daily basis. By living by these rules, they attempt a state of clear consciousness without worry and guilt. While these rules that they keep their conscience clear, they also lead to an isolated life, distancing themselves from modern technology, conflict, and distractions. Although I may not agree with all the rules and practices that the monks follow, I like the idea of being free of guilt. I don't want to be a part of a system of distraction and destruction. However, this is easier said than done because we often can't live out our values in the purest sense of the word. It is also difficult to see the consequences of our actions because they are often so removed from us. For example, in our capitalist system, companies outsource their factories and export their waste, so we may never see the people who work for us, nor the trash we make. I want to try and be more aware of my impact on the world and attempt a state of clarity. I do not want to attribute to America's obsessive consumerisms and corporations' harmful practices, despite the convenience it may provide. I want to live in a sustainable way and give my money to someone who is attempting to change the world in a more ethical way. I would rather have a clear consciousness and live according to my values. I'm trying to shape my life by adopting practices that I believe in so I can be true to my values. We are all connected, and our actions affect other people, even if we don't see how they're connected. One night in Thailand, I wrote in my journal, "Last night, when I was looking at the sunset, I thought about how we're all on." As I watched the sun dip beyond the horizon, in that moment, I knew the sun was shining bright and it was midday back home. Looking up at the sky makes me feel small, but in a good way, knowing that everything is good. We're all under the same sky. This was my host sister in Ecuador. Maria Dolores left her rock house in the Andes to work as a maid in the little town of Bogabamba. Every morning she wakes up at 5 and walks 2 hours into the mountains to start her climb at 10,000 feet. When she reaches the top, she stops and gives water to the cows and moves each cow to a new patch of grass. She is such a diligent hard worker. Once she descends from the mountain, she makes breakfast for the family and collects 3 bags of grass to feed the guinea pigs. Additionally, 6 times a week, she takes the bus to the nearby town of El Tambo and collects 3 50-pound bags worth of carrots to feed the rabbits. Maria also herds all the sheep down the mountain. She feeds the pigs, cleans the dogs, milks all the cows. She makes all the meals, cleans the rooms, helps harvest, and plant the potato fields. Maria's work is extremely physically demanding. She maintains a humble, loving, and generous nature about her. Maria made me realize how valuable it is to listen. Part of the reason my relationship with Maria was so impactful for me was through the connection of language. A couple times a week, I would teach her some English after dinner, and in return, she would give me some Quechua lessons. I loved being able to talk to Maria in Spanish after months of having a language barrier in Thailand and India. It felt as though someone had lifted off the curtain and I could ask Maria detailed questions about her life, such as what has happened in her past or what she dreams of for the future. I realized in these moments with Maria that creating a space for someone to share can be so special and so rewarding. I realized the value of language and how you can grow as an individual if you just stop and listen. I want to listen to others and not let these notions and assumptions cloud my perception of them. I want to learn from my peers and be able to listen to anyone. What is the point of a conversation? Is it for yourself or is it for them? I think that by listening to someone with a respect and complexity in which you view yourself, you can reach a different understanding. To create a metaphor, if the world was a building and we are each looking at the building from one angle, why not ask someone who's shorter or taller than you, or better yet, ask someone from the other side of the building, or who lives on one of the floors to tell you what they see. Asking questions and really being able to absorb and process the information you hear will provide you with a more complete understanding of the lens from your original view. I believe that one of the critical and key aspects of global development is to listen. After meeting all these people, I now turn the mirror on myself, and I want to see what ideas are in me. I may not be carrying this backpack around with me anymore, but I want to keep carrying these lessons with me. I always want to keep these people and ideas floating in my head. From South Africa, I want to remember Lucy and to be free, not to get in the way of myself. I do not want to limit myself with the social identities others have created. I want to find myself. Sineha taught me the importance of expression. I want to create something every day for the rest of my life, and I think a creative outlet is so essential to who I am. Monk Chumrat helped me accept the value of complexity and aim to live with a clear consciousness. Maria taught me to listen, and not only to open my ear to the information around me, but to do it without judgment and try to imagine where others are coming from. These people personified curiosity, freedom, creation, expression, sustainability, clarity, and listening. I know I'll never forget any of these people nor their lessons. Maybe I learned the most from these people because they personified the places that we visited. Maybe the reason why I'll never forget these people is because they reinforce or challenge my assumptions. Maybe I'll never forget them because they simply meant a lot to me. Maybe it doesn't matter how they helped me grow, but simply that they did. I know that how these people affected me, I can affect other people. So now if I hold a mirror to my face, I don't physically look that different in 6 months of travel, but the way that I see myself in that mirror has completely changed. Now, I may not always present myself as the brightly colored or in softer watercolors, or even show my true colors, but I can be aware of my different identities. All these versions of myself are still me. We look at ourselves and at each other with different lenses, and these lenses are the different assumptions. I drew myself with 3 different lenses. The first one is, these are all self-portraits. The first one is my softer side. It's that not being suspicious when someone's nice to me, and to trust others. This one is my more extroverted self. It's why people called me sunshine at the beginning of this trip, and why I was louder, why I like to smile to others. And this one is my more inner self, which is like my bone structure, my core values. And this one I don't always show to people. I'd like to finish with a poem. Everyone should close their eyes for this. Okay. This is a poem that I wrote on a plane on my way back to America, and it's the idea that people are the wealth of the world, so only people can make change. She said she wanted to be a raindrop. She doesn't mind falling as long as she's not alone. Alone in her mind, her curiosity, her human spirit. She fell from the sky, falling towards the destruction and love of feeling she only minds when she lands. All sinks in. She is here to stay. Cemented to the land, the earth, the sky calls for her. The blue is comforting amongst the madness. Sailing above the sea, wild horses running through her mind and identity, that uncontrollable, unwavering desire to fall. She wanted to be a raindrop, to add some substance to this earth, add some purity, some honesty, some clarity to all the confusion and complexity of this reality that she calls home. She wanted to add some life, create something beautiful. But how does one drop make all the flowers grow? She doesn't mind falling, as long as she's not alone. Thank you.
So we have time for a couple of questions for Alea.
Do you want to keep drawing and painting?
Maybe not this medium, but I want to keep creating in my life, whether that's through film or science or questioning. I think I really want to create stuff, or buildings or architecture. I don't know. I just want to build stuff, make stuff. I love empty spaces and filling things. I think that's why I like drawing, because it's like an empty piece of paper.
Do you know what you want to?
I'm going to Wesleyan next year, Wesleyan University, and I think I want to combine art and science. I don't really know how I'm going to do that yet, so I think I might do like a film minor and then maybe like a chemistry major. There's also like a science and like society course, which I might do, which is like but would combine the science.
Yeah. So you describe beautifully that moment on the plane with the sense of adventure.
Older about like. I'm nervous. I'm actually coming home and I have my university orientation where I meet everyone in my upcoming class and I'm a freshman. So I'm really nervous for that. So same sort of stuff is going on that I felt on that plane. But I think now I really loved the image of travel. I loved like these places and these ideas, but like when I actually went now, when I think of India, I don't think of temples. I think of Saneha. I think of my host mom. I think of my sister. They're way less romanticized in my head. They're these real, living, breathing people that are in the world, and that's why I talked about it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks, Alea.